Hi guys, as usual, before we begin, all the useful links are in the description, and the full system setup that I've used for audio testing for my listening sessions is also described in the video description. So, today we'll be reviewing Sound Blaster G8 by Creative. I remember I got my first Sound Blaster, the first version, the ISA 8-bit version, when I was 14 or 15, something like that. Then later on I had Sound Blaster 16, which was an amazing device. And then later on I had Sound Blaster Live, which again was an amazing device. And then I got Audige. And there's this version that had all connectors plated in gold, and I absolutely loved it and used it for the next, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. So for all that time I loved the sound quality of all of them, but then I got one of the Sound Blasters that was onboard solution with my mainboard, and it turned out actually to be only software suite that was running on a Realtek chipset, and my love ended. During the times that Creative was selling gamers stuff, I stayed away, because in my experience you can brand anything as a gaming device, then you'll be charging twice as much for that at least, and the quality will be simply bad. So I try to stay away from all gamers dedicated stuff, but it changed when I got Creative Super X5, this small device that I got by recommendation of one of my local friends, and he recommended me this as a USB dongle with amazing sound quality, not exactly something that would be just dedicated to gamers and PC users, but basically something that I should be interested in as a music lover. And as you can see, I still own and use Super X5 because it actually sounds great. I may do a review on that too, but I don't know if it's still available, but it really sounds great. It's absolutely amazing. So at that time I realized that maybe I should take another look at the things that Creative is manufacturing, and this is what gets us to Sound Blaster G8. G8 will set you back something like $165 US, and I was thinking about it more in terms of workhorse for my Teams meetings than any kind of gaming device. Why? Because it has 2 USB inputs and a sound mixer inside, but we'll get to that. Okay, so let's start with specification. The numbers that are on the manufacturer's side state that headphone output impedance is 1 ohm, which is pretty low. It's supposed to be playing back everything up to 384 kilohertz with resolution up to 52 bits, and it should be recording sound from various inputs, mixing the sound up to 52 bits and 192 kilohertz, which is also very nice. But the actual numbers that got me interested here is THD and noise. THD and noise is 0.0018%. Then we have dynamic range, and dynamic range is specified as 130 decibels. That's amazing. Analog to digital converter, so basically the part of the chipset that's recording the sound is specified as to have dynamic range in 114 decibels, and THD plus noise for the recording path of the device is specified as 0.000 56%, which is amazingly low, and that's in line with latest topping analog to digital converter that can be used to connect microphones to record the sound. Okay, but there was also one thing more that got my attention. And let's use my superb animation skills to give you some info. What was that? Okay, so we'll be using a blank piece of paper for this animation part. Okay, so you are probably aware of the CS43131 chipset. That's used very often in many digital to analog converters that are placed inside of USB dongles similar to this one. Why is that? Because CS43121 has internal getting things in a simple way to building blocks. It has digital to analog converter, and then it has headphone amplifier. Let's call it Xamp. Yep, and then we have output. And this chipset is quite popular because it provides very good sound quality. And coincidentally, this is the same chipset that's used in SMSL DO200 Pro digital to analog converter that I've reviewed recently in my channel. You remember the one that got internally 12 digital to analog converters. It was actually the same chip. It was using 12 CS43131 chips. So we know that internally this chipset contains digital to analog converter and integrated headphone amplifier. What would happen if we would take just this one part outside? We would get another offering from Cirrus Logic, and that would be CS43198. And why am I doing this picture-in-picture fancy animation for you? Because this digital to analog converter 43198 is actually something that the Sound Blaster is using. So we know now that CS43131, this widely used one for headphone amplifiers, is of course depending on the implementation, but all in all it's a very nice device. What would happen if we would take the digital to analog converter part outside and try to use it? So this is something that made me wonder, because I really appreciate some of the dongles, USB dongles that were using the Cirrus Logic chipset, and I was really interested in sound quality of the digital to analog converter alone. And Creative says that Sound Blaster G8 is using something that they called Xamp, which basically means discrete, dedicated, separate dual channel amplifier for digital to analog converter that's based on CS43198. Yeah, so let's get to the build. As you can see, and initially I thought this is a gimmick, but I've grown to like it. The logo is backlit and I really like it. It doesn't remind you of any other, let's say, typical standard headphone amplifiers or any kind of digital to analog converters, because it was designed with desktop position in mind. So it's very convenient when it's standing like that on your desk, because you can change the settings, you can change the volume with a natural way, not with something like that, but like that. Internally, and we will see that in a minute, because I've recorded a part when I'll be looking what's inside this amplifier. It has actual real relays, and we can try to hear them. I'm connected to the power source, and let's see. Not all functionality will work when it's just powered through power bank, but no, it won't allow me to do that. So we'll be getting back to that. Internally, it has a real Omron relay to switch between outputs. Xamp actually inside uses discrete transistors and discrete amplifier circuit for the headphone amplifier and for the line out. Chassis is made of plastic, but this is nice plastic and it has a solid feel to it. Why? Because, as you'll learn in a second, there is a metal plate inside. I like the feel of this plastic. I like the knobs, as I especially like the feeling for the volume knob. It has just the right amount of torsion. It's not too easy to move, it's not too hard to move. All in all, it's a good quality build. By the way, the volume knob, regardless of this nice analog feel, is not analog. It's digital, and it will change the volume using chipset settings. When it's connected to your PC or your console or your Mac, it will be connected with your computer mixer volume. Okay, so let's see what's on the outside of the device. Microphone connector, headset connector, which doubles for headphones connector, LED indicator for decoding of Dolby digital encoded digital signal, nothing on the side, and ports galore on the back. Starting from the analog part. Analog line input, single-ended. Analog line output, also single-ended. This can be used to connect your powered speakers, so subwoofer, or any other type of external amplifier. Then we have optical input, optical output, which is pretty important because this device is mixing all inputs and can output the resulting mixed signal here, so we can record it not only with your PC but something external. We have HDMI ARC connector, so you can connect your gaming consoles, you can connect your AVR or Blu-ray player here. And we have two switches. The first one is for gain, for headphones. You can choose between low and high gain, and you can choose functionality of the outputs, which one of them will be active, ARC or optical ARC or optical input. And we have two USB ports, and these are star of the show because each one of them is full digital input for two separate devices, meaning that you can connect two computers, you can connect two consoles, you can connect one computer and one console, and so on and so on. Everything that will be able to work with USB digital input for digital to analog converters. So I don't know, your mobile phones, your tablets, your Raspberry Pi, anything like that can be connected here. Two of them at the same time, and then you'll be able to use this knob to change the mix volume between two inputs in real time. So if you connect your PC, one PC, with both inputs here, with both cables, you'll be able to see this one device as two separate sound cards, which gives you very interesting opportunities, not only for gaming, but also for any type of communication software, because you can choose to use one of the inputs here for your communication with Teams, and the other one as a music source or anything like that. And it'll be something that only you will hear, unless you want to record and stream that. because that's the possibility you have too. Okay, so now we'll have a cut and let's take a look what's inside. Okay, so this is disassembled Sound Blaster G8, and what can we see here? Well, the first thing is that it was pain in the ass to disassemble. You need to unscrew 5 screws that are hidden below a rubber feet. 2 of them are here and 3 of them are here. Then you need to take out the bottom assembly. It has locks, plastic locks like that, and it has some metal plate. I guess it's not for the shielding, but it makes the device feel solid in your hands, and it also will stop the device from sliding on your deck with all the cables connected. So by the way, you can see the screws here, all 5 of them. Then you need to remove the the knobs, both of them, from the top plate here, and you do that by just pulling them out. And then you also need to unscrew 5 little black screws that are keeping PCB inside the case. I'm not disconnecting the backlight for the Sound Blaster logo, so let's leave it like that. And let's take a look at the PCB. There are actually 2 of them. There is a smaller daughter board for connectors, for optic connectors, and for 2 jacks. The nice thing here is that these jacks are gold plated. And the main board. The main board, let's start from the back. Yeah. These 2 pieces of foam are probably to protect it from touching the iron plate on the top, sorry, on the bottom of the device. Let's zoom out to, yeah, you should be able to see NXP chipset at the top. Yep. There is a small thing that I actually liked about the PCB. Now, where was it? Yeah, it's here. Can you see? It's the Creative Labs is still using SB model numbering, SB from Sound Blaster, and I like that because I owned a lot of Sound Blaster PC cards back when I was younger. Okay, so what can we see on the main board? On the main board we can see that the actual analog part is made from discrete components. We have 4 transistors here. We have German VIMA capacitors here. The rest of the analog part is also made from discretes, but surface mounted ones. We can also see 2 operational amplifiers. There are bearing marks T1, TL or T1, I think, or TI 43. These are very small and it's very hard to, yeah, TI 43 1AW7, and according to the datasheets that I found online, these are Texas Instruments OPA 1678, so quite nice operational amplifiers. We can also see actual Cirrus Logic digital to analog converter chip. You can see both Cirrus Logic chips here, and you can also see something SB-AXX1. I guess it's custom made, some kind of DSP probably, that does the mixing. Also we can see Omron relay. That's a very nice thing, and I was totally surprised when I've heard clicking inside of the device when I was switching between speakers and headphone outputs. And that's basically it. The Sound Blaster G8 inside looks nice, but it's highly integrated, and I don't think that there is much room to repair anything if anything gets broken. So okay, I'll assemble it back to the regular form, and let's get back to the next part of the review. Okay, so we're getting back to the review. We've seen what's inside. I like the build inside. As you can see, there are no traces that it had been disassembled. So yeah, getting back to the review. Application. In Windows 11, this device works without any kind of drivers. Most of the functionality will be available to you without installing any kind of software. Although, if you install Creative Software Suite, you'll have access to some additional functionality. I won't be covering this in this video. It's pretty simple and it's all covered in manual. I will tell you about two things that I've liked there. The first one was EQ. The software provides you 10-band equalizer, and also the software provides you something called crystallizer that was available also for Audige and Audige 2 sound cards. And actually I reminded myself now that I had owned two Audige cards, the first Audige and the Audige 2. So anyway, crystallizer. Crystallizer is a sound processor that brings out the detail in your music, but it does this in not inobtrusive way. So everything that you'll be listening to any kind of music will sound slightly better. I actually like that, and crystallizer here works in levels. So I mean, in software you have a slider and you can set the level of DSP processing for crystallizer, so you can tune the sound to your liking. Okay, let's connect that to my tablet because I wanted to show you and talk about the buttons on the front, what they actually do, and I won't be able to show you that with just a power bank connection. Okay, let's start it. Let's check if it's working now. The last button is used for switching between headphones and speakers. You can use active speakers from the digital SPDF optical output, or you can use powered speakers from line out. And this switch, and you can hear relay working now, will switch between headphone output and powered speaker output. The first one is used for turning on the effects. Right now all effects are disabled. After the first click, when the signal LED is white, it means that you've enabled the DSP processing with parameters that you've set in the software. And the second push will give you Scout mode. Scout mode is a special mode for gamers when you're playing FPS games. Basically, as far as I understand, meaning that as far as I can hear the sound and hear the sound signature change, it's something like a special equalizer setting that boosts the frequency ranges for the typical sounds of footsteps, reloads of weapons and anything like that. So it will give you advantage because with these parts of the spectrum raised, you will be able to hear better these specific sounds. It may be useful, and I suppose it is useful in FPS games, but I wouldn't recommend that for any kind of music listening because it completely mixes up the frequency spectrum. Okay, and the most important and the most interesting button that I've left for the end is this one, mode. What does it do? The important setting is enabling that, because this is direct mode. When it's being lit in green, it means that internally Sound Blaster G8 is bypassing all DSP processing and outputting pure sound either to headphone outputs or line outputs, but pure sound without any kind of processing. And I'm not always purist, but in this particular situation, that was my preferred setting. I preferred the sound with direct mode enabled because it sounded so pure and so good. Okay, so now let's move to the most important part of the review, so the sound quality. The bass is very fast and very precise. It's not too big bass, there's not too much bass. It doesn't overflow other bands of spectrum. It's not too much, it's not too little, just right amount of bass. My typical test track for that would be Arped by Vashiyas. I may link to that in the description if I remember to do that. Anyway, it has a very fast bass line with very nice textures. It's always moving, it's always changing, and G8 was able to follow the bass lines with ease. It doesn't have any kind of mid-bass bleed. The bass, the general signature for the bass kind of reminds me D-class amplifiers bass, meaning it's fast, it's precise, it's agile, it's not very organic, but it's a very good quality bass. Mid-range. Mid-range is detailed, but I would say it's somewhat analytical. It's rather on the cold side. I know I'm spoiled by all the amplifiers I review, but I'd like to have a little bit warmer vocals here. But the good thing is that there's no sibilance and there will be no listening fatigue whatsoever. Having said that, I would pair this with warmer headphones rather than analytical ones. Moving on to treble. The treble is extended, detailed, and seems to, although it's airy, it seems to be dry, if you know what I mean. It's rather analytical than musical. It has a lot of air and space, and that's the positive side of being analytical. All sounds are precise, you can find a lot of details in the treble, and all in all, I may be described as a treble lover, and I like the treble here. Moving on to detail. It has very, very good detail, especially with planar headphones. I was testing this Sound Blaster G8 with headphones that were costing 10 times, yeah, some of them, 8 to 10 times as much, and it never ashamed itself. It has very good detail with planars, meaning that the digital to analog converter part of CS43131, that I was drawing earlier is really good in this area. For example, choir on Baba Yetu, all small bells in the back of the choir are there. You can hear them. All the small things that are happening in the background are there, and it's not very hard to actually find them and hear them. And same thing for, I don't know if you're familiar with, well, I guess everyone is familiar with Still Loving You by Scorpions, but there's a version that was recorded during live concert in Athens. And the track begins with audience chatting, talking, screaming, whistling, etc., etc., and all the small details, all of this ambience is here. This is one of my test tracks for looking for detail with equipment, and everything I would expect to be there was easily hearable with Sound Blaster G8, and that's a very big compliment. Okay, moving to imaging. Imaging is surprisingly good, but only with good source material. For example, DSD-64 recording of Le Nozze di Figaro Sinfonia gives you all the ambience, all the front and back planes, all of the sides, precise location of every musician, every instrument on the stage. And I actually love that, and that was something very surprising for me, because remember, this is Creative Sound Blaster. This is not something that audiophiles and headphone lovers will be having as the first brand when it comes to sound quality. And as I say, all the nuances that will give you, all the cues that will give you the information about the position of musicians and instruments were there. Okay, things recorded or mastered badly are just flat. They will sound bad and they will sound flat. Which means that this little amp, this little guy, is really honest. When something was recorded in a good way, it will give you all the imaging and all the holography that's there. But if something was recorded poorly, if it was mastered badly, it will give you honest opinion on that. Okay. Loose thoughts. I was surprised because it's really good headphone amplifier with very good quality line out. I was testing line out with one of my power amplifiers, that Zeal, because why not? And all the qualities of the headphone amplifier are the same for RCA line output. It's not exactly RCA, it's line output, but it's single-ended, meaning that you just need to connect adapter to RCAs, and you can connect any kind of big let's say big power amplifier to this. I wouldn't pair that with cold or analytical speakers or headphones. I would rather choose something warm to get the best natural pairing, but it's so good, this small guy, believe it or not, but it's so good that it scales well up to my area stealth, and it sounds really good with them. I mean, with that particular pairing, it's rather on the, maybe not cold, because area is not cold, but it's not very warm either. But it was able to drive my planners very well, with all the detail, with all the musicality they needed. So that was something surprising in a very positive way. One more thing, one more observation here. It gets a little bit warm after a longer session, listening session. Not hot, but you can, by touching the device, you'll feel that it's actually warm. And my summary. I don't know if you can get anything similar with such vast functionality for mixing input and outputs for such small price, because it was $165, and you can connect two devices. You can connect one device but with two inputs. You can record your sound coming from microphones. You can record anything that comes from analog line input. You can mix that with anything that comes from digital sources, not only from your PC, but also from external digital sources, from optical input or HDMI ARC. And that's very uncommon. But the thing that I liked most about this little device is that it gives me absolutely great sound quality. For me, this marks the time when I should start to look for other creative devices as they will be released, because the sound quality is getting back to the roots, to all the beautiful line of Sound Blaster, Sound Blaster Live, all the outages, etc. So if you need something like that, not only for gaming, because I would say that for gamers it's an overkill. Most people that would buy something like that for gaming would be using some kind of shitty Razer headphones or something like that, that will not allow device like that to shine. But if you have a proper set of headphones, Sennheisers, AKGs, HiFi Mans, anything like that, you'll be surprised with the sound quality that this little toy will give you. Also, if you need to have something like that for your Teams meetings, I'm working, most of the week I'm working from home, and I have a lot of Teams meetings every day. Some of them are interesting, in some of them I have to be very active, but some of them are just for listening someone else talking for an hour or 2 hours, and I absolutely love the functionality of mixing the meeting with my background music. So, all in all, I really like this device, and it will be part of my computer setup, my working setup. Yeah, and that's it. If you have any questions, if I forgot to mention anything, if you'd like to know more about anything mentioned here in the video, just give me a shout in the comments. Also, take a look at the description of the video, because there will be a description of for my full audio setup used for testing this device, and any useful links and any useful additional information that will came up with from the discussions in the comments section. And as usual, if you like that video, if it helped you to decide whenever you'll be buying this or you'll be passing this device, you're more than welcome to support my channel by buying me a beer using super thanks on YouTube. Yeah, it's a very nice device. Okay, thank you guys, and see you next time with some big amplifiers or big preamplifier reviews. Bye guys.